This is not just a trade war, it is a global redistribution of influence, power, and resources. And if you think there is still a way back, you are mistaken. The game has already begun, and the stakes are higher than ever before. Today, I will tell you how, in the shadows of loud headlines and public threats, a new global energy axis is being formed. While the United States slams the door on its closest ally, Canada, by imposing tariffs on oil and gas, China quietly opens its gates to the east. And all of this is happening while most of the world is distracted by the latest spike in the stock market. Let's begin with a simple fact. The United States has imposed a 10% tariff on Canadian oil and gas. At first glance, it might seem like just another episode in Donald Trump's string of political jolts. But in reality, it runs much deeper. It is a demonstrative rejection of a partnership that for decades was considered unshakable. And what is China doing? It is not arguing. It is not threatening. It is simply acting. And those actions are making Western markets tremble. In the heart of Canada's oil industry, Calgary, the Chinese giant Rongsheng Petrochemical, a top-tier refiner producing 800,000 barrels per day, has just established itself. This is not just a business decision. It is a geopolitical statement. Here is what's important to understand. While Washington blocks trade, Beijing is forming alliances. And most concerning, it is succeeding. Canada, which once played the role of a secondary supplier to the United States, is now pivoting toward Asia. In a climate where Trump imposes 25% tariffs on cars manufactured outside the United States, and the cost of a Ford F-150 jumps to $60,000, Canadian oil becomes literal gold for the East. Asia eagerly signs contracts, and Beijing invests. And now, attention, this is not just a blow to the markets, it's a blow to the very foundation of the American auto industry. Even the Ford F-150, long considered a symbol of American quality, is in reality assembled from components sourced from more than 24 countries. Wheels from South Korea, generators from Mexico, shafts from Canada, all of it is now subject to tariffs. The result? An increase in the cost of a single vehicle by $6,000 to $8,000. Now think about this. Who will pay for that difference? That's right, the average American. The consumer, who in times of inflation and instability, has less and less trust in those sitting in the White House. But let's return to oil. Parallel to this economic chaos in the United States, China is not just buying Canadian oil, it is investing in infrastructure, logistics, and refining. According to estimates, in the past 2 months alone, deals worth more than $4.5 billion have already been signed. While Washington raises barriers, Beijing builds bridges, all of it bypassing the dollar. Trade is shifting to yuan, Canadian dollars, and even cryptocurrency. And this is just the beginning. Now attention, the auto industry. While American companies are trying to figure out how to bypass tariffs, China has already become the world's largest car exporter. Yes, you heard that right. China has surpassed Germany, Japan, and the United States. This is no longer a forecast. It is reality. The United States, which dictated standards for decades, is now being forced to catch up. But that's not all. While the United States argues with China, it is losing a third front. China is throwing American beef off the market to the tune of 150,000 tons. At first glance, a problem for a few farms. In reality, a blow to entire states. Texas, Kansas, Nebraska. Contracts worth $500 million were simply canceled. Beef prices fell by 7.3% in just 2 weeks. And who is stepping in to fill the gap? Russia. In the first quarter of 2025, Russian beef exports to China grew by 32%. Think about it. Russia and China are conducting transactions in rubles and yuan. Without the involvement of the dollar, this is not just trade. This is a strategic partnership in which the United States is no longer a necessary player. And now, the political stage. Donald Trump is not stopping. He talks about annexing Canada as the 51st state. He mentions the annexation of Greenland. And at the same time, he openly admits to using social issues to manipulate voters. Still think this is just a show? No, it's part of a tactic. By escalating conflicts, Trump diverts attention from real economic failures. And they have already arrived. Unemployment is rising, the consumer confidence index is at its lowest point in a decade, and the market has lost more than $3.5 trillion in capitalization. All of this is the result of unstable and contradictory tariff policies. Today, Trump imposes tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Tomorrow, he cancels them. Businesses lose confidence, investments stall, jobs disappear, and finally, inflation. The national debt under Trump has grown by $8 trillion. Imports have become more expensive, and the American consumer is trapped between rising prices and falling wages. According to Pew Research, more than 65% of Americans do not trust economic information from official sources. Society feels it is being deceived. And now the main question, can America regain its footing? Or is it already lost in a new multipolar economic reality? Write in the comments what you think. Can the United States return to the top? Or will China, Russia, and other players permanently push it off the global stage?